within that field. So our speakers are going to help us to lead us in different topics.
Alright, so I'll share on personal branding. So they requested that I should talk on personal branding and financial management. So personal branding, how do you pick it up from there? Once you've made that decision to say you want to brand yourself this way, what is the next step that you need to do? Starting point, you should get on to the public to begin sharing around how you want to brand yourself. Let me give myself as an example. I wanted to put myself as a speaker in line with entrepreneurship. So how did I do that? I began sharing on entrepreneurship. The second point is that begin educating people in that field. Now you need to realize this. He who shares things in a particular field is seen as an expert or is perceived as an expert.
Our guest speaker, Mr. Dumisani Mube, the Z farmer, Madam Maria Zeronis, I guess it's you. Participants, ladies and gentlemen, I have been given an opportunity to just welcome you to Livingston. Meet the revenue. And speak to the speakers. I heard one speaker, he wants to buy a G-Wagon, I believe. So he's able to take all of us for lunch or dinner at a time. So let's take advantage and make sure that that money he has, that he wants to invest in a G-Wagon, he can feed us. I'm not here to preach. I just thought I'd stand here and greet you and welcome to Livingston. Thank you and God bless.
Point I could afford to get the G-Wagon for cash. But you know what that would have meant? My operations would have been impacted for the business. The way the business was running would have directly been impacted at that point. Why? Because if you can just afford it, then you don't afford it. If you can just afford it, then you don't afford it.
So anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I'll get straight into it. I'm 37 years old. I'm Zambia's youngest female commercial farmer. We have a total of 3 farms. I'm just in the process of buying farm number 4. Can you give it up to me? Can anybody hear me without tomato? For 1 minute? No? You can live without strawberries, right? You can live without broccoli, isn't it? You can live without rice. But can you live without tomato? No. And that is why I grow tomato. I solve the problem at least twice a day. So in you bringing your entrepreneurship to the table, you need to make sure that you're solving a problem that happens every single day. And that problem can be hair. It can be clothes. I have a problem that every single time I have an event, I need to do something new because you see that thing that I always type on Facebook. Today, I'm farming. Tomorrow, I'm making hair. The next day, I'm sewing clothes. The next day, I'm cooking. I want to cook, yes. But I understand your gift and your purpose. So understand your gift and your purpose and solve that problem.
So what are you saying to other girls out there who feel discouraged and who feel like they can't make it? Because we can't forget culture has also contributed to others not excelling in life because they think maybe it's a taboo or what. What are you saying to them?
What I'm saying to our beautiful girls out there and our beautiful women is that you only have one you. And because you only have one you, there is something unique about you that no one else brings. And because of that, our culture does not favor us. We need to make a fine balance between culture and being a woman in business. It's a choice that you have to make. And once you make that choice and go against the tide, what happens is that wealth starts to follow you. So if it's either you want to be very cultured and poor, or you want to create a fine balance. We can't abandon our culture, but we can employ 2022 to our culture so that it is well balanced.
Okay, so just a quick one. I have this question, okay, when it comes to scaling up businesses, because this is one of the challenges that most startups face. Let's take, for instance, just here in our country, you'll find that somebody owns a garage and they've been owning a garage for 10 years, but they never scale up. You find a lot of small businesses, they own a small container for so many years, but they never scale up. So if I compare Southern Africa with East Africa, I realize that those people, they're usually aggressive when it comes to business. So what is your message, especially when it comes to scaling up as businesses?
So scaling up has been quite difficult for a number of businesses for a plethora of reasons. One of the key ones is lack of financial discipline. We do not have the discipline to manage business funds and separating them from our personal funds. So as a consequence, we tend to siphon so much money from the business. And because we are siphoning so much money, we are not giving the business an opportunity to grow. So what we're basically doing is that we are using a business as a lifestyle sustaining tool. So from the money that it makes, you want to then pay your fees, pay your children's fees, pay your relatives, wedding committees and what. So as a result, the business doesn't get to have an opportunity to grow. And this has affected a lot of businesses because we stunt them simply by getting so much money from them. If we are to scale up, one of the key things that we need to work on is to make sure that we let the business thrive on its own, which we have actually been failing to do. We stunt the growth because of lack of financial management. That is the biggest killer. So there could be other things like skills and whatnot, but those come in secondary to the financial discipline.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm also a member of the United Nations Youth Partnership Platform Zambia. And one of the SDGs, actually SDG number 1, talks about no poverty. And I think as the radical entrepreneur, you've really, really influenced this nation when it comes to entrepreneurship. So as we have actually another SDG which talks about innovation. So I want you to address this to the youths especially. What is your take when it comes to innovation and elevation of poverty?
All right, so to start with, if there are people that are going to make the change, it is with the young people. And you see, we tend to forget the fact that the people that have changed the world, it is the young people. So all of a sudden, we no longer believe that we can make this change. And it is lack of belief, it is lack of mindset, like that positive mindset. So it should begin from there. We are the ones to change this. And if you look through, like I indicated, that young people have changed the world, look at all the discoveries. Isaac Newton, Alexander the Great, all these were young people. In fact, even Jesus Christ was a youth at 33 when he saved the world. And you look at even in our Zambian setup, the first cabinet, the people that fought for independence were young people. Look at the first cabinet. President Kaunda was 40 years old, and the oldest was Simon Masakapepe, who was 42. The majority of the ministers were less than 35. That was the first cabinet. It just goes to indicate that young people have really played a pivotal role in making this country better. So it should begin in us realizing that we can make the change. Because if we have embraced the possibility that we can make the change, even our ideas will begin, pushing them so hard, realizing that we can truly make that change. The reason why we don't get to be so innovative is simply because we think we cannot make the change. We feel incapacitated, we feel inadequate. So because we feel inadequate and incapacitated, we don't normally get to push as hard. So young people, we need to realize that there's so much more that we can do.
All right, thank you so much, the radical entrepreneur himself, and thank you so much for coming to Livingston.
The pleasure is mine. And wishing you well in your business and wishing you well in your endeavors. And let us embrace many more young people and achieve so much more.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, cheers.
Okay, thank you.